There is something about speed weeks at Daytona, something about the beach, the clear skies, the cool air. Every driver has an extra gleam in their eye.
Fourth running of the I Got Ballz 250 about to be underway as the pace car pulls off 100 laps, 250 miles for tonight, and we're Reupload. There's all contact made between them. They're going to get them together. They're all going to get together.
It's going to be monster ice. The inside, Blake Reynolds is going to go side by side. It's going to be door to door. Who gets it? Oh my God! They did almost.
Alright, here we are, everybody. Welcome live to Checkered Flag Interactive here tonight. We are here above Daytona International Speedway as we get ready for the 5th annual I've Got Ballz 250 here, brought to you by ElliotHendersonGraphics.com. And it is about to get started here as practice and warm-up is wrapping up. The drivers are getting ready to go. It's going to be Steve Bonesteel, Corey Hoover, and then Stephen Larkamp back up in the booth here for our, I do believe, 3rd time around with this race. And it's looking to be a great event out here. We've had the duels all week long. We've had drivers practicing. Everyone's excited. Everyone's ready to get racing here. And I am sure tonight's race is going to be probably right up there with the ones that we've had in the past there. You've seen on our commercial reel there the trailer that Brenna McGee put together for this event, and it highlighted some of the most exciting moments we've seen. And I'm sure we'll have more of those tonight, so I'm going to welcome Corey and Steven up into the booth with me here as we get ready to get things going. First, Corey, anytime you see Daytona circa 2007 on the schedule, what do you think when you've got to go into turn 1 and you're going to be up and down, bouncing everywhere? What do you think as a driver?
Well, first thing, you got to hold on because this track's really bumpy. It's the previously non-repaved circuit. Forget how many years, but it's about at least 30 years of wear and tear and hot Florida heat just baking down on this track. So you got to hold on, just watch out for the bumps. A little bit narrower too. Track doesn't have nearly as amount of grip as the new one. So certainly you just got to keep an eye on your tires and hold on.
And I guess I posed the question to you as well there, Steven. This track poses a couple of different things when you're racing around it. Yeah, it's very bumpy. It's very hard to get 3 wide because you just never know which way the car is going to go when you get those bumps in the corner. So what do you do as a driver strategy-wise when it comes to passing people, when it comes to just making moves?
Well, this track is all that extra bumps that you just mentioned before. I mean, everyone thinks of, particularly in iRacing, of the 2011 version of Daytona where it's really easy. You can just put your foot to the floor and pass people whichever way you go. But here, you really got to be careful how you put the move and how you execute. And also, there's definitely times when it's definitely better to take a more conservative stance and also lift off the throttle a little bit to avoid pushing up into the car next to you. So, along with the typical aspects that we come to know and love of restrictor plate racing so far, especially in the modern era, the bumps add that little bit of extra challenge that make you think, is it a good idea to make this move now, or should I save it for later? So it's going to be a good mix of aggression and also keeping the car clean. That's going to determine who's going to be up at the front at the end of this.
Yep, that is for sure, Steven. But we are getting ready to get things ready for the grid here. We're going to step away for one quick commercial break, get a couple more things ready for you here. We'll try to get a pre-race interview, and then we will be getting ready to catch the green flag for the 5th annual I've Got Ballz 250 here live on Checkered Flag Interactive. I'm Steve Bonesteel. That was Stephen Larkamp and Corey Hoover, also up in the booth here tonight. We'll be right back.
There is something about speed weeks at Daytona, something about the beach, the clear skies, the cool air. Every driver has an extra gleam in their eye.
4th running of the I Got Ballz 250 about to be underway as the pace car pulls off 100 laps, 250 miles for tonight, and we're green flag. There's contact made between them. They're going to get them together. They're all going to get together.
Bruce, it's gonna be mobs of ice. The inside, Blake Reynolds is gonna go side by side. It's gonna be door to door. Who gets it? Oh my God! They did almost.
There is something about speed weeks at Daytona, something about the beach, the clear skies, the cool air. Every driver has an extra gleam in their eye.
4th running of the I Got Ballz 250 about to be underway as the pace car pulls off 100 laps, 250 miles for tonight, and we're green flag. There's contact made between them. They're going to get them together. They're all going to get together.
Bruce, it's gonna be mobs of ice. The inside, Blake Reynolds is gonna go side by side. It's gonna be door to door. Who gets it? Oh my God! They did almost.
And welcome back to Daytona International Speedway here. Just sorting out a couple of things on trading paints as always, but we look to be set and ready here as drivers doing their final things out on the track. We are almost ready to get down to the grid, down to the action, and into the bumpy corners here for the 5th annual I've Got Ballz 250, brought to you by Checkered Flag Interactive. This is going to be a good one, and I'm sure you can only guess the reasons why. The track is, you don't see too many races, especially broadcasted races here on the old surface. And it's just becoming more and more outdated, but it's tradition here for the I've Got Ballz 250 to be ran on this surface and with this car specifically, and I have no complaints about it. I don't know about you guys.
Honestly, I like the fact that they keep it as tradition. We see, of course, a lot of oval series here in iRacing. A lot of them like to run the more modern version of Daytona, which was the one that was repaved back in 2011. And it's only logical for them to do that. It's Daytona in general is obviously one of the most historic, if not the most historic track in NASCAR. So, and I love the fact that not only does this series run the old configuration to add that extra challenge, but also has their own little tradition in itself, but also the fact that iRacing still kept this old configuration because, of course, they had to rescan it back when the track was repaved. So it's really cool that they have this option available. It really gets the a lot of people that love the challenge of the old surface into the game. And in general, no matter if you love it or hate it, it really does bring that extra little spice to the mix, and definitely adds to the racing, and adds to the challenge involved, rather than just the old Daytona, which rather than the new Daytona, I should say, which as much as everyone loves it, is a lot more simplified than this one. This one has a little twist to it, and I think personally that's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. Steven said it best. You can't beat tradition, especially at such a coveted racetrack like Daytona. Especially when they use the old nationwide car. I do like that as well. But qualifying's about to wrap up. Looks like Patrick Campbell will be on the pole.
Yep, and then they will be adjusting the drivers up on the front row, of course, for the duels and the drivers that have already gotten some front row spots, and so that will be a minor adjustment here as these drivers get ready to get down to racing. And something else that's kind of changed that wasn't always a thing was that new Porsche or Rough pace car.
Yeah, and that's definitely an interesting little addition here. Of course, if you follow iRacing, you'll know that for a long time we've had the Ford Mustang as the pace car, and even before that, the Pontiac Solstice was the pace car before that, and that was a long time ago, back when iRacing was first becoming iRacing. But to have the new pace car, definitely an unexpected addition, but in a way, it's pretty cool, and I've always liked the Rough RT12R here in iRacing, no matter what version it's in. I think it's pretty cool. I know some people will say, and I probably made a comment or two, that it may seem a bit out of place, especially for a stock car race, but for what it's worth, I mean, it's a pretty cool addition, and I particularly come to like it.
And as we get ready to get things kicked off here tonight, I'm going to try to get a ring in with a very veteran driver here with these events, the number 32 of Evan Melanson. It's Steve up in the booth here. As we get ready to roll off from the grid, what's running through your head?
Just ready to go. It's going to be a lot of fun. Sorry, I can't hear you. Brendan's talking in the game right now, so... Oh, there he goes. He stopped. Should be good and fun. This is like the most fun setup and car combination we've had probably since the one I ran, so I'm liking it. After the tires wear, it's tons of fun. Lots of tire wear. Car really lightens up with no gas, so tons of fun. Really happy a ton of people made it, so should be a good time.
Yep, as it always is. There's plenty of colorful cars down there as well, so we'll be taking a look at those throughout the night. Very warm track, very warm day in general. The sun is out, the clouds are away. So, Evan, we're going to wish you the best of luck here. As the pace car rolls off, it's about time to get going.
Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for doing the broadcast. Have a ton of fun up there tonight.
Oh, I'm sure we will have a ton of fun tonight, and I'm sure everyone else watching is going to have a lot of fun tonight. As we mentioned before, you can't really go wrong with racing at Daytona, no matter what it is. I mean, some people will say that something like an Indy car may be a bit too extreme, but really at Daytona, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's got 4 wheels or even 2 wheels and it's at Daytona, it's always a lot of fun to watch, and we'll see more of that tonight. And what he mentioned before about tire wear is going to be pretty interesting, I would think. Normally, you don't think of tire wear all that much on a plate track, but here, especially with the bumpy surface, it could be pretty interesting to see how that plays out during the race.
But here, as these cars are rolling down the back straightaway, there you see them, the 2 drivers that got those spots through the duels. Brennan McGee's moving up there. The number 16 will be on his outside as we get ready to go racing. And I tell you what, as we get ready to roll into 3 and 4, the drivers are talking, they're chattering, but I have a feeling it's going to get real quiet here real fast.
I'm sure it will, but their minds are going to be racing. They're going to be thinking, okay, let's see how everything works out. Do I have the strategy right? Do I have everything I need ready to go? Everyone's thinking, well, am I ready for this? Well, we're going to see who is and who isn't as they come off of turn number 4. The brand new Roof RT12R pace car peels off on the pit road. The 94 of Brendan McGee leads the way. Green flag is out. We are underway for the I Got Ballz 250.
And here we go, heading down into 1 and 2, shifting up through the gears, picking up the speed, 2 by 2 by 2.
Still too wide, multiple rows deep. Brendan McGee gets that number 94 machine out in front, and it's already got a bit of a gap already over the number 02 machine as well. The number 02 machine who gave him a little bit of a shove on the bottom line there. That's Patrick Campbell. And now they're starting to get back together again through 3 and 4. The top line now coming to their own. The 16 of Luke Crutchfield to the outside, getting a help from the 3 of Rodney Wolford, and a caution out already. Trouble on the backstretch. Trying to see who it is.
It's like maybe some lag involved in this one. I'm taking a look at it. I see the 37 of Jeremy Leto. He is having a little bit of an issue there, trying to get going.
Yeah, and I saw the 98 machine of Philip Snipes having major connection woes, so he might have something to do with that incident there, and he was blinking quite a bit. Not too sure, but... And he was coming pretty slow off of 3 and 4.
Yeah, we got the replay there queued up, and it looks like might have kicked off with maybe a connection issue. Not 100% sure. Possibly could have started with the connection issue, but then led into further things.
Wow.
But big issues nonetheless.
Yeah, not the way that, not the way they wanted to start this race. It looks the connection may have been an issue there, and then the 43 come and the 37 make contact, and then a few other cars scrambling to get out of the way. I think the 16 machine. No, not the 16, my bad. He was running second. What the heck am I looking at? The 76, I should say, of Leland Bordage very narrowly missed that. I think he may have gotten a little bit of it, but he managed to get away with it. So 3 cars already with damage, to say the least, and 1 car with connection issues. All in all, pretty exciting start to this event. We're only on lap number 3.
Yeah, it looks like that 42 at Taylor Tanarico got out of line there off of 2. I'm not sure if he got any help or not, but they were forced 3 wide up into turn 3. Very, very tight getting into these corners. 3 wide really doesn't work, and it played out right there.
But either way, that does put us under that first caution of the night. So these drivers had that intensity build, and then it kind of stalled out for a minute, but I feel like it's definitely going to be building once more once we get ready to go back to green flag racing. Lights on that pace car are on, so we still have a little bit of a second to catch our breath. We're going to throw it off to CFI side-by-side, and when we come back, we get the green.
There is something about speed weeks at Daytona, something about the beach, the clear skies, the cool air. Every driver has an extra gleam in their eye.
4th running of the I Got Ballz 250 about to be underway as the pace car pulls off 100 laps, 250 miles for tonight, and we're green flag. There's contact made between them. They're going to get it together. They're all going to get together.
It's gonna be months of ice. The inside, Blake Reynolds is gonna go side by side. It's gonna be door to door. Who gets it? Oh my God!
Alright, welcome back live here to Daytona International Speedway. We are getting ready to double on up and get back to racing here after our first very early caution, but that is what Daytona usually seems to have, especially with this bumpy surface. It's Steve Bonesteel, Stephen Larkamp, and Corey Hoover up in the booth.
The lights are off once again on that new pace car, and we're getting ready to go back to green for our first restart. It's Brendan McGee and Patrick Campbell sharing that front row together. Then it's Rodney Wolford, Ryan Nolan, Evan Mellinson, Nicholas Duquette, Lisa Ryan, Justin M. Wilson, Dylan Roberts, and Chris Passini, who round out the top 10 in the early going. We're on lap number 5 out of 100. 250 miles make up the fifth running of the I Got Ballz 250, which really is really exciting to see. This event has become quite popular and quite prestigious within the oval racing community within iRacing over its 5 runnings, and it only shows signs of improving, and already we're off to a pretty explosive start as we get ready to go back to green.
Yeah, pretty anxious to see how the top side will shake out. They got a really good jump on the initial start, kind of hang with the leaders, so just looking to see if they can make any headway and try to gain onto the leaders a bit. So.
And here, as the field comes on off of turn number 4, get ready to get things kicked back off here, as the pace car is going to be pulling on down pit road here. Green flag's going to be coming on out. Brennan McGee's leading him to the green flag. Here we go, back to racing here at Daytona Speedway.
And again, another solid start from Brendan McGee. He's got the number 3 of Rodney Wolford now on the low side, giving him a shove, and he's getting extra help from the 32 of Evan Mellinson. Meanwhile, the top line already starting to fall back a little bit, as would be expected. McGee gets clear up on his high side there with the 02 of Patrick Campbell leading the charge on the high line. He doesn't have much help now coming off the 2, but the 87 of Ryan Nolan trying to get back up there with help from the 51 of Nicholas Duquette, and they're already starting to catch up as McGee still leads the way through turn number 3. And Campbell still holding it up on the high line there, but now Wolford giving McGee a good push, and now looks like 2 cars going to go clear, and McGee moves up to the middle, and is he going to fall back through? They're 3 wide for the front. Him. Campbell, looks like Campbell lead that lap. Yes, he did, and Wolford is now leading the charge on the low line as McGee dips down to second place on that low line, and already the top groove starting to work pretty well already. We'll see how long that lasts. There's still quite 2 wide multiple rows. Even now the 87 starts to move back down to the low line. I think he wants to have a shot at the lead.
Yeah, McGee got pretty lucky there. He got caught in the sucker hole, as I like to call it. Early on, you'll see drivers give up and let him in line, but 50 laps to go or so, 40 laps to go, that won't happen at all. So as it comes down to the end, they'll get more and more aggressive, but early on, they know what to do. They know they still have a long race ahead of them.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, it's going to be the right balance of aggression and just getting the car to the end clean. That's going to determine who's going to be up front at the end. And you don't want to be too aggressive. I mean, sure, you want to lead, but you don't want to be too fast or too aggressive early on in this race. We're only working lap number 8 out of 100. 100 scheduled anyway. We might get more if we get some green flag checkers, but it's still time to just get to your bearings, just settle down, see what the car is doing in traffic, and ultimately not be too hard yet, but just save your energy for the end of the race. And Campbell still holding the lead on the high line. Duquette doing a really good job up on that top line. The top group in general seems to be working pretty good in the early stages of this event.
Yeah, as we cycled through there, the Crank It Up cams took a look on board with Brennan McGee. You can see just how much these cars are moving around here tonight. This track very, very bumpy, but we're 2 by 2 by 2. They just don't care. We're going all out. But what I'm really interested in right now, that outside line, continuing to kind of be the place to be. You save a little bit of your tires up there as well, so it might not be the worst idea to keep that momentum wound up by that outside wall.
Yeah, that's another factor we were talking about before the green flag is tires, because surprisingly enough, especially for people who would think that a track like Daytona or Talladega would be really easy on tires, but especially this configuration, it could take a toll on them.
Yeah, the top sides actually surprised me on how they're able to hold their ground. I know these cars don't have nearly the amount of power as the Cup cars and the Xfinity cars today. So it is a momentum car. You do have to keep those engines wound up. So top side might be the way to go early on. I know it's going to be the way to go when your tires start to fall off, because you'll want to just slide up to the top. So you might see single file as the run goes along.
But right now, top 5 is going to be Patrick Campbell, Duquette. Then you've got Wilson, Nolan, and Wolford there. Your top 5, but I'm sure that'll change as we are close quarters racing.
And once again, everybody just settling into a rhythm a little bit. Not many bold moves so far, especially in this run. Not the time to be thinking about that, as I mentioned before. Campbell's still doing a really good job, and I wonder how long Duquette's gonna let himself be the pusher to Campbell. See how long he either ducks down because his engine might get hot, because that's always a concern at restrictor plate tracks, or if he just wants to make a bid for the lead. And speaking of a bid for the lead, here comes the 87 of Ryan Nolan on the low line. He got a pretty good shove from Wolford, and now he's going to be challenging those front two.
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on that low side. They haven't been riding the yellow line like you normally see at, say, Talladega or the new Daytona. They've been kind of pinching up, getting that side draft from the top. I think the bottom, it might be just a heck of a lot more bumpier than the repaved tracks. So they're certainly pinching and getting that side draft as they're working their way up to the front.
Yeah, and especially towards the end of the race, that side draft could come into huge effect, especially if you see a two-wide fight for the lead. Whoever works that into the best effect is probably going to end up the victor. But right now, a lot of these drivers, I would imagine, are worried about tire wear. We've heard some of the drivers talk before that tire wear is actually going to be quite a significant factor if we get long green flag runs. So it's going to be quite interesting how much the top line is going to help, because generally it does help with tire wear if you run a higher line that doesn't put much strain, particularly on the right side tires. And it's going to be quite interesting to see how much of an effect that really has, or if some of the guys will just be fighting it out like this for pretty much the whole race. And meanwhile, once again, Nolan gets a good shove going down the backstretch and through 3 and 4. He's actually got a pretty good run coming into the tri-oval. He's going to be right up there with the 51 of Duquette, but they still hold the advantage. And also up there with them, I believe that is the 58 of Justin M. Wilson, who's also running a very good show on the high line here. They seem to have a lot of momentum coming off the corners, and that's always helped by running the top groove.
Yep, we're riding on board right now with that number 58 of Wilson, and we're going to pop it to the gyro cam. You'll see here, as we head into turns 3 and 4, just how much this car bounces around. I mean, look at the banking first of all, but I mean, that thing is bouncing back and forth there, and for a while that inside line might be the place to be, but once those tires wear out, I really don't know about that.
Yeah, early on in this run, you could definitely make moves like that to good effect, but as we mentioned, what are the tires going to be like in the middle of the run? What are they going to be like at the end of the run? Are you going to be able to do that? That's a big question that a lot of these drivers have had to answer, and some of them may have figured it out. Some people may have or may not be quite sure, and it's going to be quite interesting for us to see. That's for certain.
Yeah, one thing we almost saw was the field having to navigate around that lap car. He smartly moved to the apron, but if you do have to come up on a lap car, there's really not much place to go. You either go all the way low or you ride the wall, and even riding the wall is really, really dangerous around here, going 3 wide on this narrow, tight, bumpy surface.
Yeah, especially at a track like Daytona. I mean, I know from racing on road courses in particular that lap cars can be a major pain from pretty much everyone's standpoint, especially if you race mixed class cars like I do on occasion. especially in single seaters, they can be annoying. But lap cars at a track like Daytona or Talladega, they can actually be helpful because they can work with the draft of that lap car to get to the front. I've seen that happen a lot, especially in races in the NASCAR iRacing series on occasion, and even in Carburetor Cup. I've seen lap cars influence who wins a race. So if they come into if they start to work with a lap car, it'll be interesting to see if that car actually does have an influence, or if they're just gonna get out of the way, like a lot of people might wish that they do.
Let's just take another moment here, enjoy the sights and the sounds here around Daytona International Speedway as these things are going upwards of 200 miles an hour. Just gotta love those crank it up cams as always. And can't wait for NASCAR season to get picking back up here in just about a month. So excited for that. So we're watching right now for the 5th annual I've Got Ballz 250 here at Daytona International Speedway. It's Checkered Flag Interactive back up here for the night. Steve Bonesteel, Stephen Larkamp, and Corey Hoover up here. And of course, Brennan McGee calling the actions down there with his administration team. A little bit of lag up there from the front. Looks not to be too much of a problem there as they head on through turns 3 and 4. We are 18 laps into this event. We've got 100 scheduled. Don't forget, we've got the potential for green-white checkers, and not like the ones they have in NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. We have the good old-fashioned one where we got 3 chances. 3 chances, boys, to get to the checkered flag under green conditions.
Yeah, and as always with a green-white checker situation, it'll be really interesting to know what the fuel situation is going to be, because of course green-white checker laps do still cost fuel like they do in real life. So it'll be interesting. There's a lot of interesting aspects about this race, but if we do get a green-white checker situation, I would say it's going to be it's always entertaining, but it's going to be very interesting to see how everyone is handling in that particular time frame.
And we hate to step away, but we are 20 laps into this now, and man, this field is still 2 by 2 by 2. We are going to quickly step away. We'll throw it off to commercial break. We'll run through the running order on your screen real quick, and we're going to go side by side for just a couple minutes here, catch our breath, get ready, as the first round of pit stops are just around the corner here on Checkered Flag Interactive. We'll be right back for more of the I've Got Ballz 250 from Daytona International Speedway.
There is something about speed weeks at Daytona, something about the beach, the clear skies, the cool air. Every driver has an extra gleam in their eye.
4th running of the I Got Ballz 250 about to be underway as the pace car pulls off 100 laps, 250 miles per tonight, and we're green flag. There's contact made between them. They're going to get it together. They're all going to get together.
It's gonna be mobs of ice. The inside, Blake Reynolds is gonna go side by side. It's gonna be door to door. Who gets it? Oh my God! They did almost.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway here. I told you it'd be quick. You saw it there on side-by-side. Drivers are starting to get those tires worn out, getting further and further up the track, closer and closer to the wall. A little bit of lag there off and on causing problems, but boys, these drivers got to be so careful out here. We are 25 laps in and we're still side-by-side, and I really don't know how many of these drivers know exactly how their car is going to feel here with such a warm track, and the tires getting worn out the way that they are. They've got to be real careful here as this first pit stop approaches.
Yeah, and we've already seen...
Trouble 33 gets turned around through the apron.
Just as I was about to mention an issue there, and the 33 of Justin Bishop gets tagged by the 96, makes contact with the 96 of Brandon Smizer, and he goes charging down the infield grass. He saves it, manages to keep the car going, but I think he did get a penalty for that, but he did just get cleared of that by the officials, so he's going to be able to keep going. But that was sure a scary moment.
Replay up on the screen there, and very nice driving by Bishop though, keeping that thing under control.
Yeah, that was a beautiful piece of control. Just able to keep the car going in a straight line, just no fear. Keep the car going, don't hit anything, and you're still going. Get back onto the track. Not many drivers can say they could do that with they could do that with a straight face. And I'm not sure if Bishop did it with a straight face, but even if he didn't, that was an amazing piece of control. And
yeah,
that was just as I was about to say. Oh, and there was something happening in the back of the front pack there.
Yep, trouble on the back.
Caution is out.
Oh,
second
boy.
one of the night.
Looks
and
like
already
Matthew
this car
Egan's in that
spinning
one.
after the yellow. The 39 machine goes around. Thomas Axum.
Queuing up the first replay here to see what happened to the 07 of Egan. Looks like, yep, those tires just getting worn out. He catches that outside wall, and then he does the best that he can to keep it locked down, and the drivers that were coming in right behind him, they're going to have to do something, and just running out of room, they make contact.
Yeah, the 16 of Luke Crutchfield sees Egan sitting in the middle of the track, does everything he can, tries to get the car down low. Unfortunately, the 39 machine of Axum was there with him, and it's kind of hard to put two objects in the same space at the same time, and it didn't work there. Rather unfortunate for Crutchfield. Not much he could have done in that situation, but he managed to keep going. Unfortunately for Axum, he's got damage on that car.
And
so,
what a job by that Perrier car, the Perrier car there, that number, I think it's the 45? 43 it is. That was the 43. Leroy Giroux. I don't know how he missed that.
Yeah, I just noticed that too, and wow! Giroux with a monster save. Gets it away from the 39 machine, somehow sees it coming, and reflexes just kick in. He drops down a lane and gets out of the way. Beautiful piece of driving by the number 43 of Leroy Giroux.
And here comes the field down pit road here for the first time of the night. We'll have to see who's going to make it out first, who's going to take resets, and who's taking 4 tires. I bet pretty much everybody will be taking 4 tires.
Looks like the 02 is going to be first off pit road. 4 tires
Gamble
and fuel.
off first, but Giroux actually goes all the way up to second amongst the cars that came out. The 58 of Wilson comes out third, and then the 3 of Wofford. Not too sure what kind of magic helped Giroux get out so quick, but wow. So yeah, he's going to be second of the cars that just came out of the pits. Question is, did he take tires, or was it just fuel for him?
That's a good question. I've got, however, our leader there in that 02 machine pulled up here in the booth. It's Steve up here. with Steven and Corey. How you doing out there in that Nesquik machine?
Oh man, we're doing great. We had Doucette behind us that entire run there. Me and him were really communicating. We were thinking about pinning in about 5 laps. The tires were absolutely dead. That was about a second or so of fall off there.
Yeah, you could definitely tell the drivers were drifting further and further up, and something's got to break eventually. And it looks like someone finally caught that wall there and went around. And unfortunately, but fortunately for many, that brought out the caution. That kind of gives us a chance to catch our breath and just chill out for a minute.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, right there off turn 2, just before the yellow, I nearly hit the wall. Doucette nearly hit the wall. We got within about an inch each just because we were trying to give enough room to the inside car there.
Yeah, but it's very, very tight racing out here tonight. What's it like trying to decide where you want to be? It looks like the outside line is definitely the place to be if you're just kind of riding. But how do you make passes here?
The real way to make passes is just to get a good run down the straightaway. Like, once you get off the corner, you'll get a huge run on the guy in front of you, and you can really rip it to the inside. You just gotta make sure you clear that guy before you get back to the corner, because the bottom line will just kill you down the next straight.
Well, it looks like out here these guys racing very aggressive, but racing with their head, and of course that's always good to see here. So we will let you get back down to your team here. We're going to step away for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we've got the green here. Live from Daytona International Speedway, it's the I've Got Ballz 250.
There is something about speed weeks at Daytona. Something about the beach, the clear skies, the cool air. Every driver has an extra gleam in their eye.
Fourth running of the I Got Ballz 250 about to be underway as the pace car pulls off 100 laps, 250 miles for tonight, and we're green flag. There's contact made between them. They're going to get them together. They're all going to get together.
It's gonna be Monster Vice! The inside, Blake Reynolds is gonna go side by side, it's gonna be door to door. Who gets it? Oh my god! They did! Almost!
Welcome back here on Checkered Flag Interactive. We are getting ready to go back to green flag racing after our second caution of the night. Here for the I've Got Ballz 250, brought to you by ElliotHendersonGraphics.com. He's done quite a lot of stuff on iRacing community, but he also painted cars for NASCAR Heat Evolution. So he's been doing a lot of painting out there and bringing this race to you guys. So thanks to him. But we are getting ready here. Pace car lights are off. I'm going to throw it back down to Steven and Corey.
Thank you, and we're getting ready to go back for our second restart of the night. The 02 of Patrick Campbell still leads the way with the 58 of Justin Wilson down on his low side. He selected the outside lane for this restart, and as you've heard in the interview we had with him, it's not too surprising given how much the tires have worn off, but the green flag flies and we are back underway. Campbell with the lead at the stripe, but the 58 of Wilson gets a really good restart with the 3 of Rodney Wolford and the 32 of Mellinson on the low side, giving him some help. But Campbell's got the 87 of Ryan Nolan, and behind him is the 31 of Chris Passini, and they're giving him everything they've got as they work their way through 1 and 2. I think at this point, given how things have transpired so far, Campbell will be very content to stay up there on the high line as we have more people emigrating to the high line. The 10 of Lisa Ryan goes up there. She decided to ditch the low line really quickly, given how much it was killing the tires. Even up on the high line, Campbell says he was struggling with tires. But now Wilson with a slingshot to the lead. Oh, the 32 gets onto the apron and saves it. What a catch for the 32 of Evan Melanson. But it leaves the number 3 machine of Wolford without a draft partner until the 87 of Nolan comes down to help him. And Wilson now cycles to the lead, but they're going to go 3 wide for that top spot. And it looks as though Wilson has gotten caught in that much-hated sucker hole. No, he doesn't. He manages to stay ahead of Campbell as they come off of turn number 2. But now it's the number 3 of Wolford who gets a great run to the front, but now Nolan and Melanson, who recovered from that touch of the apron there, he manages to give the 87 a push, and now they're making a bid for the front. Already, things are starting to get a bit more hectic than I thought they would. It's only lap 32 out of 100, but already things are getting quite exciting.
Yeah, tempo really has heated up, and I'm not sure why. They still have about 70 or 60, 67 laps to go when they hit the stripe. So yeah, tempo's really heated up. The 32, heck of a save. But after that, leaders have been shaken out. Looks like they have a side-by-side battle for the lead.
Yeah, and it is rather strange to see this, especially since after we talked to Campbell during that caution, that tire wear is huge here. With this setup, it's a fixed setup for this race, as well as the track temperature that we have here and the circuit itself. It's really quite odd, and I guess you could say, to see these people going at it the way they are, with 2/3 of the race still to run. But the 87 of Nolan cycles to the front. Wolford still leading the train on the top line there, and I think it won't be long now before we see that top line really start to show that it's definitely the superior line for long green flag runs, the kind of which we might get here if the last run was any indicator.
And we haven't talked about Brandon Montevice, but he is a I Got Balls champion here from last year. That number 54 LSR TV machine running mid-pack right now, 13th after 33 laps complete. And he's kind of staying out of trouble, running it smooth, running it well. So we'll keep our eye on him here. He's been known to be good at these super speedways, and he's proved it before. So we'll see if he can do it again here tonight.
Yeah, and on long restrictor plate races like this, that's a pretty solid strategy to be running mid-pack. I know we've heard stories of the likes of Dale Earnhardt Sr. and Tony Stewart running in the mid-pack, even towards the back and coming through to win this race. And Monsalvis is doing a very good job just keeping the car underneath him. He's sitting 13th, in no real rush at the moment, which in a race like this, especially since people are really starting to show that they're being rather aggressive, especially for this early in the race, but it's controlled aggression from what I'm seeing. But when the tires really start to eat at these guys, I get the feeling that guys like Monsalvis and other drivers running perhaps in the mid-pack, maybe towards the rear, you'll start to see those guys at the front later on in this event. But so far, it's Wolford leading Nolan at the moment at the stripe. The margin at the line last time by, 4 1/1000ths of a second. That just shows how close it is. That's barely noticeable if you're looking at it from a picture. But it's still noticeable to a computer, and that's ultimately what matters. As Wolford now actually loses that top spot, Nolan gets a solid run on the low line there with help of the 32 of Melanson. Melanson's been doing a really good job as a draft partner so far, and now they're going to get help on that low line from the 51 of Nicholas Duquette. And looks like those front 3 on the low line have a bit of a gap there to the car behind them on the low line. I believe that is that's the 74 machine of Dylan Roberts, who's losing ground to that front 3 on the low line. But that front 3 doing a very solid job despite it being not the line that I think they want to be in at the moment. And Wolford, Wilson, and Campbell in particular as well. Look at the 31 machine of Chris Bassini and the 8 of Tucker Minter running up there on that low line. I think they're quietly confident that they're going to have the faster car underneath them later on in this run.
Yeah, you see the top three, actually the top six, the first three in that bottom line, and then the top three in the top line. They're the ones all pushing. The people behind them are just kind of riding to see what shakes out in front of them. Pushing through the tri-oval, especially on this bumpy track, it's kind of a no-no through the tri-oval, especially. Cars get really wiggly, and you never know which way they're going to go. If you're going to hit someone, you got to just hit them square. So the good thought by the people in the back to kind of lay back and just see what shakes out in front of them.
Ooh, and already we saw some little sliding there. The tires already starting to rip them up, rip each other up a little bit. But now, but wow, all that has allowed Evan Melanson in the number 32, the Tide machine, up on the high line now. He's managed to get himself up into that first row, essentially, alongside Nolan. Nolan now with help from the 51 of Duquette, but they don't have much help otherwise on that low line there. The 74 of Roberts still got about 3/4 of a car length back to them. He's not quite pushing them yet, but Melanson working his way up to the front there after that little kerfuffle there on the last lap. And Nolan still has a nose on him, 9/1000ths of a second at the stripe that last time by. So Melanson still doing a very stout job there, and Nolan and Duquette still being rather quite aggressive on that low line there. I wonder how long that's really going to help them. It really does make me wonder.
But for the most part, the field is still 2x2 here as they go down the back straightaway once again into 3 and 4. Look at these guys as they're slipping up a little bit further, but they're still pushing as we are approaching halfway here. And this has been a good race so far. It's Ryan Nolan, Evan Melanson. Then you've got Rodney Wolford, Dylan Roberts, Justin Wilson, Campbell, Blake Reynolds, Chris Bassini, Montevice, Tucker Minter, top 10 right now. Star-studded field all the way around. And I hope you guys that have tuned in live, the Checkered Flag Interactive here tonight, are enjoying the show, because we are up here as well, and it's definitely far from over. And once again, just want to remind you guys, this race
sorry, Steve, we can barely hear you.
That this race is also brought to you by ElliottHendersonGraphics.com. And we are, like I said, approaching halfway here for the 5th annual race.
And to be honest, at this stage, I'm rather quite surprised that Nolan is able to hold it there on the low line still. Oh, break. Yeah, it sounded like you were really far away from your mic there for a little bit.
And as they go into 3 and 4, Corey, you're an experienced driver out here, especially over on the ovals. What would your strategy be if you were to be racing right now? You've got a clean car, you're up in the top 10, do you drop back, do you stay where you are, do you go to the front, what do you do?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. They have about 60 or so laps to go. It's more than likely a one-stop race from here. I doubt it'll be 2, unless they get green-white checkered or something like that in the end. But to the scheduled distance, you got to be thinking about the next real cycle of pit stops. Me personally, I kind of like hanging back. If I started up front, I'd stay up front as long as possible, and if I got shuffled to the middle, I'd more than likely stay back. It's all preference, though, whether you want to be on the bottom or on the top. But yeah, I'm just thinking, where do you want to be placement-wise for this next row of pit stops? Because that's where the trouble can really happen.
Yeah, and that's always a very difficult question, especially since preferably you want to get to pit road with at least one other driver to help with the draft, so you don't lose the rest of the pack there. If you go into the pits solo at a plate track, you tend to end up in a lot of trouble afterwards because you have no one to help you keep up the pace that everyone else is running. But here and especially here, it's going to be quite, with the bumpiness, especially coming off of 3 and 4, it's going to be really quite interesting to see if we do get green flag pit stops. It'll be quite a challenge, I would think, to get down on the pit road, especially if you're sitting up on that top line with a car down next to you. It's going to be quite hairy, I would imagine, and coming on the pit road. It's always a scary moment, at least for me, whenever I race on ovals and long oval races, to come down the pit road from working on the top line. And it's all so it's going to be quite interesting to see when we get those green flag pit stops.
Absolutely, yeah. Communication's always key here at the big plate tracks and everything. It's even kind of hard, even in the sim racing community, where you have to text the chat or you create a channel, something like that. So if you communicate, the teams or the drivers or the teammates, whoever you be, whoever communicates the best usually has a good shot to take the checkered flag.
Whoa, boy, look at that. 3 wide there is Manlanson having issues almost into the wall. That could have been huge, but everybody checks up, watches themselves a little bit there, and we're 3 wide again with that 66 in the middle. Oh boy, the front of the field is shaking it up.
Wow, what a sudden change there. Evan Melanson falls all the way back to 7th place at the stripe, and the 66 of Blake Reynolds went 3 wide in that situation as well. So Melanson goes all the way from the front back to the mid-pack, and I think he's starting to consider a more long-term approach. We're just approaching the halfway mark here, and I would think that he's starting to consider that perhaps running up front isn't really the best idea for preserving the car in the long run and getting ultra aggressive. So I would think that might have been deliberate, or it might have been the case of the tires just getting away from him. I think he could only I think he's the only one who could tell us for sure in that regard.
Yeah, that's 2 big moments for that 32 car.
I think it may have been the ladder. The 32's around in the wall.
Oh, huge wreck!
As well. The 48 machine just scrapes underneath them. The 96 of Brandon Smizer. The 60 gets involved in as well. Caution is out. 3rd one of the night. And one of the front-running cars, 2 of the front-running cars, is seriously damaged. Melanson rolled over multiple times. He's hit the reset button. Wow. I guess the latter of my assumptions was proved correct in that one. That may have been just the car getting away from Melanson there.
And that car went spinning like a top.
Yeah, I was just saying the 32 had 2 big moments just before that one, and the 3rd one came back to bit him. So that was a heck of a wreck, actually.
3rd time unlucky for Evan Melanson, who is putting in a really strong performance up at the front of this field. But it brings out our 3rd caution of the night, and I would imagine that everyone is going to want to come in on this one.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if they're going to be able to make it on fuel, but certainly they've ran about 10 to 15 laps or so. Everyone's going to, I assume, take 4 tires on fuel.
Absolutely, and especially after a wreck like that was presumably caused by the tires just getting away from that 32 machine, everyone's going to want fresh Goodyear Eagles on those race cars. But it's Ryan Nolan who assumes the lead after that incident. Rodney Wofford, Nicholas Duquette, Justin Wilson, Chris Passini, Dylan Roberts, Blake Reynolds, Patrick Campbell, Tucker Minter, and Brandon Monsavis rounds out the top 10 as it stands, as we now have drivers coming on the pit road, and it looks like pretty much all of them, as we expected.
Yeah, I assume it's just going to be 4 tires and full tank of Sunoco race fuel. Don't think anyone will take 2 tires. If they do, it's only for track position, but you can get a full tank of fuel and still take 2, so maybe we'll see some strategy play out.
We have actually a few drivers just passing through the pits. Nolan gets down and away, and he does beat out the 51 of Nicholas Duquette. Looks like Wofford may have had a slow stop, and he falls back a few. Looks like he may have fallen back a few spots. The 3 of Wofford lost a spot in that pit stop exchange, and the 31 of Passini moves up to 4th.
Well, what this does is that resets us here. We're halfway pretty much through the race. The tires were wore out there. The drivers were getting a little bit wore out as well. All the bumps here, definitely doing it. So we're under pace car once again for the third time, or yellow flag I should say, and we are going to get a chance here, take a break, get back at it. The crew chiefs are going to be talking to their drivers, calming them down. You can see the track is rubbering in too. When we started, that rubber was not on the track, and there it is. You can see two distinct lines on the grooves there. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we get ready to go back to green flag racing here from Daytona International Speedway for the 5th annual I've Got Ballz 250.
There is something about speed weeks at Daytona, something about the beach, the clear skies, the cool air. Every driver has an extra gleam in their eye.
4th running of the I Got Ballz 250 about to be underway as the pace car pulls off 100 laps, 250 miles for tonight, and we're green flag. There's contact made between them. They're going to get them together. They're all going to get together.
Bruce, it's gonna be monster ice. The inside, Blake Reynolds is gonna go side by side. It's gonna be door to door. Who gets it? Oh my God! They did almost.
Alright, we're lining back up here. The pace car lights are off, and we are getting ready to go back to green flag racing here live from Daytona International Speedway. It's Checkered Flag Interactive here, and we are getting ready to go back to green flag.
And we've just passed the halfway mark of this race. And if that first half was any indicator, this should be something special. It's the 87 of Ryan Nolan and the 51 of Nicholas Duquette on that front row as they come to the green flag. Our third restart of the night. We are back underway. And Nolan gets help from Wofford now on the low line there, and I think Campbell may have put two wheels down on the apron there, and he loses a tiny bit of ground to those front two on the low line. But Nolan leads the way, going through 1 and 2. The 3 of Wofford giving him the help. The 51 of Duquette now getting help from the 31 of Chris Bassini. and they're getting some additional help from the 58 of Justin Wilson
And
as they work their way down the backstretch.
one key word there is help, help, help. You've got to have it here. You can't do it on your own. You can't win on your own. It's, for the most part, it's still a dancing game here. You've got to learn how to tango. However, when it comes down to it, you're not really two-car tandeming at all. But you just can't make any moves alone here, or else you get left out to dry.
No, you can't. You are very much dependent on the draft to make any sort of progress on a restrictor plate track, and it really, and so much so, if you lose the draft, and this happened to me a few times when I've lost the draft on a plate track, you're at very much a risk of being a lap down within 10 laps. That's how much the draft matters here. You'll lose multiple seconds of pace if you fall out. So everyone just wants to stay with each other, stay in the draft, and help each other. I know it may be hard for a lot of other fans of racing to be concerned with. Why would you care about everyone else? Well, you're dependent on them to actually win the race. And so far, Duquette gets a great run on that high line there. Everyone's working very well with each other. Generally speaking, as much as the tires will help them in that regard. But Duquette doing a very good job on that top line there. He leads the way. And Nolan doing a good job on the bottom line as he leads that train. And they're too wide, countless rows deep as they come off of turn 2 once more. Lap number 54. Duquette getting a great run once again up on that high line.
Yeah, that is one of the bad things about running in the back. You run the risk of losing that draft, like you said, whether if you want to run in the back or up at the front, but you run the risk of getting in the big one if you're up in the front. So it's kind of a give and take situation. If you want to run in the back, you could end up losing the draft, or if you run up front, you run the risk of wrecking. So it's a matter of preference, really, and helps if you have a bit of luck on your side as well.
Yeah, they say it's better to be lucky than good, but it's certainly better if you have the draft with you. And as long as you have that, you have some chance of making progress here at Daytona. And very much so up at the front of the field, they're using the draft quite well. And the racing up front has been generally very solid, very stout, very clean especially. And you want to keep the car as clean as you possibly can. You don't want any aero damage on the car. And if you do hit a car, you want it to be pretty square on hit, as we mentioned before. You want it to not cause any damage to the other car and to your car, because you're dependent on the car being in the best shape it possibly can, and you're dependent on the other drivers if you want to do any good here.
And I'm just watching here a lot of big names mid-pack right now. I'll update you on a few of them. Nick Terbuck, currently running in that number 29 machine. He's 12th, about 13th, 12th, 13th. He's just mid-pack right now. In front of him, Brandon McKissick there in that number 24 Jeff Gordon machine. He's usually someone you've got to watch out for here on these super speedways. And then again, you've got Brandon Cruz Monsivice there. He is a little bit past halfway and back in the field there, and he's just biding his time after seeing those past couple of wrecks. I do believe he's probably just trying to catch his breath, really, for the most part. Then you've got Brandon Smizer. He's back there as well in that number 96 machine. He's down on that inside line. He's running right now in 17th. So we're just keeping an eye on quite a few drivers out here. But back out to the front where we're still side by side, it's the 51 of Nicholas Duquette out in the front.
Yeah, and once again, Duquette. Oh, big problems in the middle of the pack. Caution is out. Big wreck in 3 and 4. The 2 machine, Bob Roden. And multiple other cars, the 48, 35, 39. And the 32 also involved in it.
Big names in that one.
So doubly bad luck for Evan Mellinson in particular. 2 incidents he's been involved in. Bob Roden was one of the first cars involved in that. Let's see what happens here.
It looks like the 39 possibly there slips up the track, makes a little bit of contact with that outside line, and then poof, Brennan McGee lags out for a second. But wow,
yeah,
big time issues.
39 of Thomas Axum gets a really big push in the middle of turn 3, comes right up into the 2. Might have been something related to the bumps, but then after that, it's a chain reaction behind them. Brendan McGee, Evan Mellinson, the 48 of Gloria Quinitella involved. Wow.
Watch it here. Slow motion, that 39 slips up, catches the 2 of Bob Rowden, like you said there, and up the track he goes. A lot of contact, heavy contact. McGee just goes airborne there. The 48's flipping. Just tough luck for a lot of drivers as we're just past halfway.
And come to think of it, that's the second time that McGee's been involved in a major incident. He was involved in the last one as well with the 32. As we have drivers once again coming down pit road, we're on lap 59. So I would imagine everyone's going to want to top off the fuel. Maybe take tires if you're feeling particularly desperate. And looks as though we do have takers for tires. Some of them might be taking just fuel.
Yeah, one car that stood out to me through that wreck was the 14 of Michael Fenderson, all the way down to the inside wall, almost actually touched the inside wall in the grass to avoid that wreck. He's going to for sure check the car for damage and get 4 tires and fuel, but heck of a job to be situationally aware and avoid that wreck.
And I'm trying to get a ring in here. I just made the quick run down to the virtual infield care center here, catching up with my boy Brendan McGee and his Big Mac, but unfortunately, all jokes aside, big-time troubles mid-pack for that number 94. Take us through what happened.
39 looked like he had tight going in turn 3 and wrecked whoever was on his outside line. Luckily, I'm getting my backup car out, though.
Yeah, they're going to let you get on out of the infield care center, and I'm trying to keep up with you. You're jumping in the car, you're getting some tires on her, and getting back out there. So while we're doing that, let's talk about the racing out there tonight. What's it like?
It's been a very good race so far. I think this is our 3rd caution. I can't count, but anyway, been lots of side-by-side action. People have been taking it easy, so I expect we'll be 3 wide a lot by the end of this race. All I can hope for right now is another caution and not to be caught up in the caution so I can get my lucky dog.
Well, also, while we're up here, talk about a little bit about the league that runs pretty much coincided with some of your big events.
Yes, the Winstell Cup Series races every Sunday at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. We usually get about 30 drivers per race. You can register on the private and hosted section of the iRacing forum. All the information is there. You usually get about 30 plus cars per race. Pretty good racing each weekend. I mean, like every league, we have a couple off weeks, but overall it's been a lot of fun. Very old school league for those of you that like old school stuff. Old school setups, hard to drive, not like the default iRacing setups. So yeah, definitely a lot of fun for that. How are you guys doing up here?
Oh, things have been great up here. Lots of action. Looks like the broadcast has been doing well as well. Lots of fun out here. So we're going to let you get back down to your team. We're going to step off, catch our breath, have some coffee, and we'll be back for the green flag.
Sounds good.
There is something about speed weeks at Daytona. Something about the beach, the clear skies, the cool air. Every driver has an extra gleam in their eye.
4th running of the Ballz 250 about to be underway as the pace car pulls off 100 laps, 250 miles for tonight, and we're green flag. There's all contact made between them. They're going to get it together. They're all going to get together.
Bruce, it's going to be monster boys. Inside, Blake Reynolds is gonna go side by side. It's gonna be door to door. Who gets it? Oh my God! They did! Almost.
Alright boys, we're back behind the pace car here for the 4th time on the night. Pace car lights are off, so that means we're just a moment away from green flag racing here. It's the I've Got Ballz 250 5th annual running, brought to you by ElliotHendersonGraphics.com on Checkered Flag Interactive, Steve Bonesteel, Stephen Larkamp, and then also Corey Hoover up here, and I'm going to throw it back to you guys.
Looks like 38 laps to go when they catch the green flag. Pace car pulls off. Steven, it's all you.
Green flag back out once more. Duquette on the high line for this restart, even though he started off as the leader. Once again, pretty much indicative of where he wants to be. Chris Passini in the 31 leading that charge on the low line. And Montsevis with a very good pit stop gets up to position number 3, helping out Duquette on that high line. So now's about the time we're starting to see some of those guys we were talking about. Brandon Montsevis, Brandon McKissick, Brett Fauzi, Brandon Smizer. We're starting to see some of those guys start to work his way up to the front, and they're going 3 wide going into turn number 3 with the 87 of Nolan on the low line. Oh, contact!
Ooh, someone's got to give it. There goes the
Someone's
O2.
Big
Trouble.
Big trouble. The 87's involved in it. Massive wreck.
Big
Another
trouble.
Front-running car involved in a major accident. Lap 62. And that was probably the big one, fellas.
Replays queuing up here, taking a look at what happened out in front of the field. The 87 looks like Ryan Nolan got shuffled down on the inside there. And
Campbell looks like.
Yeah, just that 0-2 slipped up the track and comes back down on him, and from there on out it was just brutal.
Yeah, the 0-2 of Campbell comes up into the number 36 machine of Britton Roxbury and comes right down into the 87, and from there it gets bad. And one thing I noticed there, the 96 of Brandon Smizer, how in the heck did he get through that one?
Yeah, it just looked like a hole opened up. We talked about it on the pre-race. 3 wide usually doesn't work here, and it showed out there that just ran out of real estate out there when it comes to, you know, fighting for position, entering a corner, especially with the bumps. That may have played into it, but definitely something to learn. 3 wide doesn't usually work.
Yeah, like we mentioned before, the 07 version of Daytona definitely has a few tricks up its sleeve with those bumps, and that may have been a contributing factor, but man, that was probably the biggest wreck of the night thus far. And I gotta tell you, when I was watching that, I saw that black number 96 car of Smizer. It seemed like the sea just parted for him, and he managed to get through that. That was quite incredible, and there were a few other drivers that somehow managed to get through that with little damage, but Smizer was right in the thick of that. If you watch the onboard with him, I'm sure you'll be quite impressed.
Yeah, looking at the running board, one car that looks like he's going to get his lap back is the 32 of Evan Mellison. He remember he was flipping, wasn't he? I believe so.
Yeah,
so
he was.
He might get his lap back here. Just goes to show, always hold out and never give up if your car's still running at these restrictor plate tracks.
Yeah, that's one of the magics of sim racing. We have fast repairs for these cars. You can you can basically get a brand new car with nothing costing you, and it shows that earlier on, Evan Mellinson, I mean, he was up at the front, but he was on his lid at one point earlier on in this race, and now he's getting his lap back. I think he's just double checking that. Yes, he is still a lap down, but he's gonna be might be getting that back on the lead lap sooner than you might think. He's the first car 1 lap down, so he'll probably get the lucky dog, either this caution or the next one. But it's Nicholas Duquette still leading the way. Brandon Montsevis now up in the 2nd place. Blake Reynolds in the 66 in 3rd position. The 60 of Ben Hancock 4th. Chris Passini is 5th. Justin Wilson 6th. Rodney Wolford 7th. Brandon McKissick in the 24 up to 8th place. Tucker Minter in the 8, now running 9th, and Dylan Roberts in that 74 machine, now sitting in the top 10. On lap number 65, we have 35 to go, and I can bet you it is going to be one heck of a show these next 35 laps.
Yep,
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got the running order up on the screen there. You've got Duquette, Montevice, Reynolds up there in the top 5. Big names there. Wolford's up there, Piscini, McKissick. But big names all throughout the field there involved in that last wreck. But luckily, like you said there, Steven, you've got that quick reset. Get you back out there, get you back going. But some of these drivers will definitely be running out of those here if they already haven't.
Yeah, but speaking of running out, I don't believe they will be running out of fuel. Just doing quick maths in my head, I believe they're going to take the green with roughly around 31, 32 laps to go. So they should be good on fuel. Not sure if they're going to be good on tires, though. They'll certainly be hurting at the end, but if you're going to tough it out, better to tough it out on tires than fuel.
Yeah, and there's always the question of, sure, they may be good on fuel for now, but if we get a green-white checker or multiple green-white checkers, how are they going to fare then? Are they going to have to come in once more? But that's going to be a question I think we're going to have answered when we come to that point, if we do indeed finish this with a 2-lap shootout. But for right now, lap number 66 about to begin as we're getting set to go back to green flag racing. Duquette and Montevice going to share the front row. Duquette going to take the high line once more.
Yeah, I believe that's the way it's going to be if we get another restart. Everyone's going to take the top side. If you can get a good jump, it looks like you can spool up that engine, gain RPMs, and pull at least 1 or 2 car lengths on that inside line. But they don't jump down. They still stay in that outside line. They gain momentum and hold off the lead.
Yeah, especially since we have the potential to have a long green flag run all the way to the end. I would imagine that that top line is definitely going to be very desirable, though we have seen the low line work quite well throughout this race. I get the feeling that top line is going to be better if we do get a long green flag run like we've had earlier on in this. But Duquette, Montevice, Reynolds, Hancock, and Wilson in the top 5. This is going to be quite the show, I would imagine. We're coming to the end of our 5th caution of the night. And Duquette has been doing a very good job at the front of this field. Can he hold it on to the end? Or will the likes of Montevice or Reynolds, who have played it safe throughout much of this event, and by extension people like Hancock and McKissick, who have also been staying in the mid-pack, will that have been the right call for them? Are they at the front at the right time? We'll see. Coming off of turn number 4, they're laying back quite a bit, actually, from the pace car as they get ready for the pace car to pull off. Pace car is down. Duquette leading the way. Green flag back in the air. Montevice gets a pretty good restart, actually. And he's getting help from the 66 of Blake Reynolds on the low side and the 58 of Wilson. They actually got a really good start. Montevice now challenging for the lead. Can he win another I Got Ballz 250? Let's see.
Yeah, pretty dead even restart as Montevice got on the 51. You're right, they did lay back a bit, but in the end they still got a clean restart, no problems there. The inside line looks like it's about to almost take over the lead. You'll see if the 54 jumps up, maybe sneaks to that outside line. 66 still pushing him, blitz. Blake Reynolds, 58 right behind him. He's not tucked on him, so yeah, 66 still laying into that 54 car.
Yeah, Montevice with a very good run on the low line. Looks like Montevice is going to lead this lap with Reynolds giving him the push. And the blow line working really well thus far in the opening few laps. The question is, how long will that last? But now Duquette starting to make the push on the high line there with Hancock giving him the shove in the Valvoline car. And now Wolford and the 24 of McKissick starting to join the fray up on the top line as well. And the 31 of Piscini starting to join them on the low line. This front group of 8 seems to have a bit of a gap. over the guys behind them, but now actually the 33 gets a good run. Justin Bishop gets right up there with them, and now we got more guys migrating to that high line. And the 33 of Bishop now sees the 58, thinks he can catch them. And the 96 of Brandon Smizer there, I think he's going to help him out. Smizer starting to work his way up towards the top 10.
Yeah, as you saw, the bottom line, they broke up. They were nose to tail. They were holding their own against the top, but they started to separate a little bit, gain some space, maybe cool off the car's engine, get some air to that nose, and as you can see, the top sides prevailed, and they have about 2 car length lead over them.
They've definitely prevailed so far. Duquette now clear down on that low line with the 60 of Hancock. Hancock was clear on the backstretch, but now Monsivice and Reynolds getting a good run on the low line there. He's not quite going to get up to the 51 just yet, but at certain points, Monsivice and Reynolds seem to be able to get a good run on that low line and contend for the lead, but where it counts, Duquette seems to have the edge, as well as his buddies up there on that top line party.
Yeah, if the 66 is pushing at all the right times, he's not pushing in the corners and he's not pushing in the tri-oval. So he certainly knows how to push a car up to the lead. As you can see, it gave him a little shot getting into turn number 3. We'll see if he gives him a shot on this little short shoot entering the tri-oval. But yeah, if he can continue to do that, they might have a chance to get up there and steal that lead away from the 51 and the 60.
Yeah, and I have a bit of a theory that Reynolds and Monsivice, they're not quite pushing in the corners yet because they don't really want to at this stage. They still got a ways to go. We're working lap 71 here, 29 to go. We still got a lot of time in our hands. We still got a quarter of this race's official distance left to run. So I would imagine that it's going to be a bit progressively more aggressive as the race starts to develop in its latter stages. But for the here and the now, Reynolds and Monsivice are still going to want to be up towards the front, but not really pushing the envelope just yet. But now they're getting some more help on that low line. The 24 of Brandon McKissick starts to join the fray in that classic Jeff Gordon scheme. And they're getting some extra help from the 74 of Blake Reynolds, and some places they're almost looking to go 3 wide.
Yeah, absolutely. Drivers noticed, they saw that inside line. They weren't fading back. They saw Blake Reynolds was tucked up on Monsivice's car, so they said, maybe let's try them. And they dropped down, and they're looking like they can gain some headway on the 51 and the 60.
And things are really starting to tighten up. How tight is it, you may ask? Well, the top 18, yes, 18 cars were within 1 second of each other at the start-finish line the last time by. That's just how close this kind of racing is, and how close this race in particular is, as Duquette once again continues to hold that advantage on the top line with the help of all of his buddies up there on that top groove. Really showing a strong running up there. That's been the preferred line, it would seem, for the leaders throughout much of this race. But let's see how well it'll happen towards the end, how well that works towards the end of the race. Ooh, Hancock got a little bit of a peek down to the inside, I think. I don't think he wanted to push it there, but now Monsivice in the middle of the corner, starting to push for the lead. He's clear high for the moment. Is Monsivice going to get to the front? It looks like it. That top line starting to become a little bit disconnected a little bit. Monsivice leads that lap. And the bottom line, the bottom with the 4 cars down there up at the front, Monsivice, Reynolds, McKissick, and Roberts, they're running really tight with each other. And also, I believe that's the 30. Yes, it is the 33 machine of Justin Bishop now getting into the fray on that low line, and it's really I'm really quite excited to see what'll happen towards the end of this race if the racing's going to continue like this. And ooh, someone's quite a lot of smoke there from a car.
Yeah, someone in the back may have hit the wall, brushed the wall, something like that, but. Yeah,
someone just came down on the pit road, I believe.
Look to see what car number that is. I think it's 29 could be. And yeah, you've seen the tempo pick up, you've seen the side drafting pick up. You got to start thinking now, how long can Blake Reynolds stay on the back of that 54 car of McKissick before his engine starts to get hot, and he might run the risk of blowing that engine up.
Yeah, and I can see him pushing Monsivice a bit more now, so he's probably keeping a close eye on both the water temp and the oil temp gauges in that race car. And it'll be interesting to see how long he can actually hold that. It's definitely a major factor at a plate track. If you're the pushing driver, you want to keep an eye on that gauge, because if you don't, you're going to blow the engine. And let's just say bad things are going to happen to everybody involved. If someone up front starts to blow the motor, everyone's going to have to dodge them. As now Reynolds, I believe, he knows the temp gauge going up. He goes up to the high line. There's 3 wide for second place. McKissick makes the move through the middle. Doesn't work.
Got a lap car coming up too. It might be dicey.
And he does make it through there. We have a lap car up on the high line. That's the 35 machine. And it looks like they're going to make their way by that guy. Yes, they make it by safely. But now Reynolds is the race leader, with Duquette giving him the push. Oh man, how things can change.
I tell you what, boys, this is getting pretty exciting up at the front of the field, and you're watching it all live here on Checkered Flag Interactive. It's Steve Bonesteel, Stephen Larkamp, Corey Hoover up at the booth. All-star cast, all-star drivers down on the field there. Reynolds trying to hold it off. He's looking in the middle there, that 51 is. Will Duquette, he's pushing, he's going.
3 wide again.
Wow.
Looks like 66 is going to get hang out to dry here unless he can find a spot.
Yeah, Reynolds slides back into the top line in 3rd place up on that line. 6th place overall. And I think that, yeah, if he didn't get down there quickly enough, he would have run the risk of getting absolutely freight trained towards the rear of the pack. But Duquette once again takes the lead, and McKissick now goes down to the low line. And now he's going to try and get some help from the 60 of Ben Hancock. And now Duquette getting help from Reynolds up on the top line as another lap car, the number 8 machine of Tucker Minter. Lets everybody go down on there on the apron. Minter was actually running from the top 10 earlier. I'm not too sure what happened to him. But lets everyone go. I think I may have heard some contact there in the middle of the pack, but once again, Duquette cycles back to the front, this time with a different draft partner in that number 66 machine. And McKissick now starting to force everyone to pick up the tempo, as we mentioned before. And this is getting to be the point where people are starting to think, okay, it's getting towards the end of the race. Maybe start to think of not going so conservative, question mark. And you're wondering, how aggressive can you be at a certain stage of a race? It's starting to show progressively more aggression, as I mentioned. And once again, Duquette up on the high line, now under major pressure from McKissick, and now McKissick actually gets the nose on him as they come off of turn 3.
Someone's in the wall going around in the back.
Cars spinning in the back of the field. Caution flag is out. The 79 of Brett Fauzi is involved in it. And the 10 machine of Lisa Ryan also involved. Ryan was the one who hit the wall and triggered that little 2-car incident. Fauzi's able to keep it going.
Replay on the screen.
And looks like Ryan has actually gotten it down onto pit road.
Oh, Fozzie got lucky there not to nail that inside wall harder than he would have.
Oh, yeah. What a save, actually, for Fauzi. That incident that could well have been the end of Fauzi's race, but he's still going, albeit definitely was a bit of damage on that number 79 machine, but that could have been way worse for the driver of that number 79 car. And what a save it was to keep the car going. And we've seen a lot of awesome saves, and truth be told, throughout this event, whenever an incident has occurred, and a lot of epic shows of driving. And that just shows how much talent we have lined up here tonight, actually had. And how much talent we actually have lined up here tonight. It's definitely amazing, and it's led to amazing racing all throughout the night. As once again we have probably our final pit stops of the night, as the leaders start to come on the pit road, and I believe Reynolds overshot his pit stall.
Yeah, it's looking like he had to back up. You might see some two-tire calls. You might see some fuel strategy here. You certainly don't need a full tank to go the distance. So look for cars to play the strategy at the pit stalls.
Though I would think that at least some of these drivers are going to be banking on the very real possibility that we're going to get a green-white checker finish in this race, and therefore the race distance will be extended. So they might well gamble on putting some extra fuel in the car in case that happens, and if that's the case, then people that would have just put in enough fuel to make the distance, they would be in pretty dire straits unless there's another caution and they come in again.
Yeah, that's for sure there, Steven. And I tell you what, this is going to give us about 18-20 laps to go. When we get back to the green flag, we're going to take our what could be our last commercial break of the night, catch our breath one more time, get ready to get things reset as we get ready to go back to green flag racing here for the 5th annual I've Got Ballz 250.
There is something about speed weeks at Daytona, something about the beach, the clear skies, the cool air. Every driver has an extra gleam in their eye.
4th running of the I Got Ballz 250 about to be underway as the pace car pulls off 100 laps, 250 miles for tonight, and we're green flag. There's contact made between them. They're going to get it together. They're all going to get together.
It's gonna be mobs of ice. The inside, Blake Reynolds is gonna go side by side. It's gonna be door to door. Who gets it? Oh my God! They did almost.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway here as we are getting ready to get things reset for what could be the final restart of the night, boys, as we've had a couple big wrecks throughout the night, couple of issues here and there, but I tell you what, there's a lot of drivers that still have a lot of racing left in them. There's a lot of drivers that still have their resets left in them.
Yeah, absolutely. They are good on tires. They are good on fuel. The only thing is now that all they have to do is just race to the finish.
Yeah, and if you thought the racing thus far has been exciting, I get the feeling that the best is still yet to come. It's Justin Wilson leading the way right now in the 58 machine, and Brandon McKissick will be alongside him. Nicholas Duquette, Rodney Wolford, Ben Hancock, Blake Reynolds, Chris Bassini, Dylan Roberts, Brandon Monsavice, and Brandon Smizer rounds out your top 10. As we get the pace car off the track, 17 laps to go in official competition. Green flag left back in the air. We're back racing. And Wilson, with a good restart there on the low line, got a lot of help. 5 other cars. Duquette, actually, no, now Hancock moves up to the high line there, but Wilson still leads the way. 2 by 2 for the lead, going through 1 and 2 with McKissick up on the high line.
Yeah, that top side didn't really get going. Yeah, the front 2 cars did, but the other people behind them didn't. There was quite a gap, and now they've closed the gap now. Looking to see
Whoa,
if they
Monsavice way down low.
Monsavice almost
Monsavice
lost it. Yeah,
Not
looking to
too
see
sure
if that
what
top
happened
side.
there, but Monsavice gets it back into shape. But McKissick now dives across the bow of the 58 and takes the lead over that number 58 machine. The 24 leads the way, and now the 3 of Wolford and the 31 of Passini are leading the charge on the high line, but the low line has a lot of momentum going for them at the moment.
Yeah, that low side there, tucked up nose to tail, pushing at all the right times, gaining momentum on that top side. We'll see if the 3 and 31 can gain that big run as they usually do coming off of turn number 2. As you see, the 66 of Blake Reynolds forced his way up through there. A bit of an aggressive move as they come down to the finish.
Riding on board with Dylan Roberts, the number 74 machine. Haven't talked about him at all here tonight. He's up on the outside behind. Oh, wait, is he going to get into Smizer?
Smizer and Roberts make contact, and now more cars are involved.
Not a good time to go on board there. Oh, boy.
Wow, possibly the commentator's curse in full effect. And the 29 of Nick Terbuck gets involved in that, and the 02 machine.
Oh,
wow,
that is heartbreaking.
Patrick Campbell got involved in it too. A lot of fast cars involved in that one. Wow.
And not sure if there was some communications error, spotter error. Maybe he said clear high and he wasn't, but just looks like he tried to come up under the top side and came back and bit him.
Having a look at things, and it looked like the 96 got a little bit of something of a push in coming off of 4 and comes right up into the 74, and that sends them both in the wall, and a few other cars also get involved in it. Horrible break for both of those guys and everyone else involved there. Roberts still trying to limp the car around, waiting for the pit lane to officially open, but Smizer has the car towed down on the pit road. Unfortunately, that may be the end of his night in terms of actually being competitive.
Yeah, we are going to jump on board here in just a moment and talk to the number 54 of Brandon Monsavice there. As always, doing pretty well right now, mid-pack in the field. That number 54. He's got an I've Got Ballz 250 under his belts already. It's Steve Bonesteel up in the booth.
Sorry, they're talking again. Sorry about that. What'd you say?
It's Steve Bonesteel and the crew up in the booth. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Steve. How you doing up there?
We are watching this race go round and round, and things have been getting pretty darn intense over the past 20 laps. What's it like out there for that machine you've got there?
And I tell you what, this LSR TV machine's just awesome tonight. I'm working the bottom. A lot of guys are complaining the bottom's bad, the bottom's tight, it gets you loose, it kills tires and all that. I've been down here the whole race and I haven't really felt any difference. The car is handling great. I'm pretty sure I can make any line work. Getting this close to the end, you got to start making any advantages and positions and start taking any holes there are. So I'll start getting a little bit more aggressive. But it's handling great out here tonight.
Yeah, it's been definitely very competitive out there. We've seen you try to pull a couple different strategies. Seems to be working pretty good for you here. And what do you think you've got to do though to get to the front? With we're gonna have about 10 laps left.
Ah, man, you know, that's the question that has about 1,000 answers, and only one is going to be the right one. So, I'm just going to go with whatever line pretty much has the momentum. I like the inside line, just because a lot of guys on the outside, they end up checking up or losing momentum, and then if there's a crash, I can jump to the apron like I did exiting 4 there. But the outside line, that's where you can make the runs, and the only bad thing about there is people are going to force you 3 wide. One thing that's I'm going to say is dangerous for these guys is they're not holding their line on the bottom. They're moving to the middle, and I've told them if you leave that bottom line open, I'm going to take it. So that's pretty much my answer to that. I'm just going to try and do anything other than wrecking. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You heard it there. Wise words from the number 54 driver of the LSR TV machine here. And we'll only have to see if he can get another one of these races under his belt.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Back up to you guys in the booth.
And as we're coming up to 12 laps to go, and still under yellow, we still have a lights on the pace car, so we'll at least go around for one more lap. Let's have a look at the order thus far. It's Brandon McKissick now leading the way with Justin Wilson second, Nicholas Duquette third, Ben Hancock fourth, Ryan Duquette rounds out the top 5. Brandon Montevice, who we just spoke to, is in 6th, biding his time. Justin Bishop 7th, Tanner Talrico 8th, Justin Roden 9th, and Leland Bordage rounds out the top 10. Chris Wetz, Luke Crutchfield, Evan Melanson, Bob Roden, and Ryan Nolan, who was a front-running car earlier, he's running in 15th. Now, a few guys, for those of you who may have missed it, a few guys actually came down on the pit road, including Nolan and Rodney Wolford and Chris Passini. So a few front runners did come down on the pit road, and along with the likes of the the 74 of Roberts and the 96 of Smizer, who were involved in the incident earlier. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what those two have in mind, Wolford, Passini, and Nolan. Be interesting to see what they have in mind and how they're going to get back up to the front and get back in contention. I get the feeling they're probably banking on a possibility of a green-white checker finish.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing when I saw them dart down the pit road. They kind of faked the whole field out, thinking they'd stay out, but then they, at the last second, got in just before that cone. So if a late race caution does fly, they're looking to shape up as the best cars of the field. I'm not sure how many laps they went on the previous green flag run. It couldn't have been more than 5, I'd say, but even though, I mean, you and I both know 5 laps on old tires here, especially at the 2007 Daytona, can certainly be the difference.
Oh yeah, and we've seen it quite a lot tonight. Tires are definitely a major factor, and it could well come into play at the very end of this race. So some things probably never change, as now we're lined up 2 by 2, getting ready for another restart. Coming to lap 90, we're going to have 11 to go. We have 11 laps to go at the line this time by, and I'm gonna say these next few laps, these will probably be ones for the ages, guys. It's gonna be really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. You see the 24, Brandon McKissick, took the inside. I believe he's the only leader to do it this time. So not sure if he's got a teammate or a plan with the 51, but we'll see once the pace car pulls off.
Oh, we are about to see, aren't we? The pace car getting ready to peel off. Down it goes. Green flag back in the air. And a pretty even restart from both front row guys, McKissick and Wilson. No one with a major edge at the moment. I think Wilson does have a nose as they make their way towards turn 1, and McKissick will fight back on the wall side. Oh, and there's more coming.
They're not done wrecking yet.
Coming in through 1 and 2. Big trouble. The 2 machine, the 29. The 3 of Wolford, one of the front-running cars. One of the dominant cars of the night is involved in this one, and we have another yellow.
Another one. Taking a look at the replay there, looked like we just got 3 wide. It was the 39 in the middle there. causing big-time troubles. And unfortunately, that is going to mark the end of the race for some drivers in the back of the field. And that's Thomas Axum that really got that one kicked off.
Wow, that was so let's
Yeah, certainly not what I expected right off the draw, right off the restart. You don't usually see that unless maybe it's 1 to go, but they still had 10 to go. I'm not sure what they were thinking going 3 wide that early.
Yeah, the 2 gets a small nudge from the 39 machine of Thomas Axum, who seems to have been in the thick of things throughout this whole race, sadly. And a few cars go on their lid, including that number 2 of Bob Roden. He went for a flip that I think James Bond might have been proud of.
And Brennan McGee, another notable driver involved in that one. And I do believe that will pretty much retire his hopes for anything here tonight.
Yeah, we're getting down towards the end of the race. Few guys are going to be running out of their quick repairs. So it's pretty much you drive what you have, and if you can't drive it, you're done. But anyway, after that brief little bit of fun, it's still McKissick leading the way. Wilson, Duquette, Ben Hancock, Ryan Duquette, Monsivice, Talarenko, Bishop, Roden, and Bordage still in your top 10. As we're probably, and no matter how you slice it at this moment, it's pretty much a shootout from here on out. If we go green and all the way to the advertised distance of 100 laps from here, we pretty much consider it a shootout. And if we get a green-white checker, oh boy. Either way, we're in for a good finish, I would imagine, fellas.
Yeah, you got that right there, Steven. We are just going to take a quick break here. Throw it off. CFI side-by-side. When we come back, it's time to go to the finish. Green-white checkers or not, we're going to the checkers here, boys. We'll be right back from the booth.
There is something about speed weeks at Daytona, something about the beach, the clear skies, the cool air. Every driver has an extra gleam in their eye.
4th running of the Ballz 250 about to be underway as the pace car pulls off 100 laps, 250 miles for tonight, and we're green flag. There's contact made between them. They're going to get it together. They're all going to get together.
It's gonna be Monsivice! The inside, Blake Reynolds is gonna go side by side, it's gonna be door to door. Who gets it? Oh my god! They did! Almost!
Welcome back here on Checkered Flag Interactive. We are getting set and ready here for what could be the final restart of the night for the I've Got Ballz 250 here. Live, the 5th annual running, brought to you by ElliotHendersonGraphics.com. Well, the field's getting a little bit thinner, but we've still got over 15-20 drivers out there, and all of them really have a chance. We're going to be getting the green flag with about 6 laps to go, and that's not counting the potential green-white checkers that we've got in store up our sleeve as well, something that you won't see anywhere else on iRacing.com. And boys, I mean, if it's been interesting so far, it's about to get a little bit more. Will we see another quick wreck? I hope not. I want to see us make it all the way to the checker. If we're going to have another big wreck, let it be to coming right to the checker, if anything. But I want to see 3-4 wide finish. I don't know, guys, but it's been a great race so far, and I hope everybody at home that's been tuned in has enjoyed it as much as we have, because you never know when we'll be back to do some more of these. And I'm going to turn it back to the guys up in the booth here as we get set and ready to go back to green flag racing.
Yeah.
Steve, I think you'll get your wish of 3 and 4 wide racing. There certainly has been a lot of heavy wrecks and really side by side good racing, competitive racing, as we've seen the past 94 laps. Looks like they're coming to the green.
Yep, 6 laps to go. No matter how you slice it, it's go time for pretty much everyone here. Green, white, checker or not, it's going to be the moment. Throw everything else out the window. I got to win this race. And let's see who is going to win this race. Pace car is off. McKissick leading the way with Wilson to the outside. Green flag in the air. Wilson with a great restart. Hancock giving him a big push up on the top line. McKissick now with help from Nicholas Duquette on the low line.
Outside line really got a great start as they were dead even as they enter into turn number 2. McKissick on the bottom with the 51 right behind him.
McKissick with the nose coming off of turn 2. Wilson will try to get the run on the backstretch there with the help from the 60 and the 54 of Brandon Monsevice. Monsevice looking for his second win in the I Got Ballz 250 as Wilson gets a nose out in front on the outside going through 3 and 4. Can McKissick respond? And he's getting a good push there from Duquette, who wants to make a move himself. Ryan Duquette giving a little bit of a help to Nicholas down on the low line. And the 42 of Tanner Talrico is the interested spectator. I would think he's going to want to join this fight really quite quick if he wants a chance. And now Monsevice dives down to the low line, leaving the top 2 to themselves.
We're going to see if that low line can still keep up with the top side. We've seen it in the earlier parts of the race. The top side would always prevail if they had at least 2 cars up there. You see the 51 really tucked up underneath the 24 and along with the 54 right behind him.
Monsevice has said that you can pretty much make any line work here, and especially with this few laps to go, you're ultimately not really concerned about tires at this stage. You just want to go fast, and you want to win this race. Monsevice getting really, really close to those front 2 there on the low line, as now McKissick still leads the way, 32 one-thousandths of a second at the stripe last time by. Wilson still getting a lot of good help from Hancock. Hancock's been doing a really good job throughout this race. He's pretty much been the go-to draft partner for a lot of drivers. He's done quite well for himself here tonight. Can he make a final statement at the end of this race? McKissick now gets a good run through turn number 3. As we're coming to 3 laps to go, barring any green-white checker finishes, as now, I think there was a little bit of a bumper hook there from Duquette on McKissick, but they managed to hold it together. McKissick leads the way still.
I've actually had to double check my eyes, make sure I'm seeing this right. The 32 car, who was on his roof earlier in one of the cautions, is now in that 8th spot. The 4th car on that outside. We'll see if he can do anything and have a tremendous comeback.
Can this be the comeback of the young year for Evan Melanson, if he could possibly make something work? And now they're 3 wide. Brandon Smizer goes to the top line.
That 32's pinching hard.
Oh, yeah, the 32 giving them a big pinch there. They're still 3 wide through 3 and 4. Is that going to work? I don't know. Coming to 2 laps to go.
Oh,
the 77 Ryan Duquette is around.
No
Will that bring out
caution.
a caution.
2 laps to go here.
No time at all separating McKissick and Wilson at the stripe that time by 2 laps to go. Wilson with a nose in the middle of 1 and 2.
Side drafting's really picked up. They are almost touching every
Someone's going
single-
around!
33 is around. That's
gonna be
definitely going to be a yellow, I think. Big wreck behind them.
Is
I
that?
think that
Oh
is
my
gonna be a
God! They're
green-white
still
checker.
wrecking.
Yes,
Green
it
white
is.
checkered.
We are going to get a green-white checker finish. Oh, boy.
Just
Who was
as I
involved
was
in that one?
saying, they were side drafting. They actually they had too much of side drafting and got into one another.
Trying to see. And it looks like contact between the 32 and the 33 sends the 33 around and collects a few other cars as well, trying to avoid it.
Taking another look at that one here. Yeah, I saw Smizer getting that hard, and many drivers there got that pretty darn bad, and that is going to put us to green-white checkered conditions, boys.
Yep, attempt number 1 at a green-white checker finish. Oh man, it just keeps getting more exciting as it goes, and I don't know about you, but if this gets any more exciting, they're gonna have to pull me out of my bedroom with a tow truck. Oh man.
Boy.
Oh man, this has been quite the race. It's always really exciting, the finishes here at Daytona, and with the way this race has been going, I can't tell you who's gonna win. I can't pick any favorites.
Well, like I said earlier, you don't see this green-white checkered anywhere else. If this were anywhere else, official race, this race would already be over. Those drivers were pushing just way too hard there. I mean, you gotta push hard, but you gotta make it to the checkered. And unfortunately, some of those drivers are toast. They're out. No more resets. They're done. And I mean, that is what it is for them.
Yeah, just got caught up in too much stuff as the race went on, and unfortunately they had to use all their quick repairs. Some guys some guys with damage are probably going to stay out and salvage whatever they can out of this event, but for those that use all their quick repairs but were involved in a big way in that last one, it's game over for them.
But one person we need to talk about, this 94. Brennan McGee, guys. Look at what he's doing. He is getting a lap back.
Brendan McGee is getting that lap back. He is in 26th position. He will be the last car on the lead lap. Yes, we still have 26 cars on the lead lap in this race. And I guess it's safe to say any one of those 26 cars still has a legitimate shot of coming away not just with a good result, but maybe a win if the circumstances conspire in their favor. But getting ready but we're probably going to have lights out on the pace car. Let's see where everyone is at the moment. It's Brandon McKissick in the 24 leading. Justin Wilson second. Nicholas Duquette third. Brandon Monsivice in fourth, looking for his second win in this race. Ben Hancock is fifth. Rodney Wolford, Thomas Axum, Aaron Smith the second, Chris Drakes, and Dylan Roberts is your top 10. Then we have Justin Roden, Chris Bassini, Luke Crutchfield, Justin Bishop, Ryan Nolan in the top 15. Bobby Jonas, Britton Roxbury, Brett Fauzi, Brandon Smizer, and Ryan Duquette actually in 19th, and Leon Bordage, I should say, now in 20th position. And I can say, and as I said before, there is a good chance for any one of those guys, even those in the back, to maybe get something a lot better than what they already have.
Yeah, absolutely. Daytona and Talladega are one of the only few tracks in the world where if you're on the lead lap, you legitimately have a shot to win. Anything can happen, as they always say. Whether it's a big wreck or someone losing an engine, who knows?
Yeah, memories always seem to go back to Talladega in 2000, where Dale Earnhardt Sr. went from 17th to the lead in just a couple of laps and went on to win the race. So if that's possible at a plate track, anything is possible at a plate track. And we may well see that tonight, so buckle up, folks. It's going to be quite the ride.
We should be getting... It's going to be the last car on the lead lap. I think he's going to be at the longest line, too. We've still got 2 more cautions that come out. So Brennan McGee still might have a little bit of hope here.
Yeah, if the guys get a bit too aggressive at the on this green-white checker restart and cause another incident, we still have another attempt. We have a total of 3 attempts. This will be the first one to finish off this race under green flag conditions. Then after that, it's going to be finishing under yellow, which hopefully we don't see. But as we come to the stripe, 1 lap to go before the first attempt at a green-white checker finish for the I Got Ballz 250.
And if you have tuned in at a good time here, and we are getting ready for what could be another historic finish. We've had many historic finishes here for the I've Got Ballz 250 races, and Brennan McGee's races in general have always produced really incredible finishes. So, I don't know, boys. This could be another one. You've seen it in the promos and on the commercials tonight. We've had some highlights up there. We always get pumped up. I hope you guys at home are pumped up as well. And you just never know who's going to get the win. I'm pulling for someone. I'm not going to say it out loud. And who knows? It could be that number 54, Montevice. Make it 2 years in a row.
Perhaps that could be. Perhaps you don't want to say it because the possibility of the commentator's curse.
Exactly.
Tell you what, my heart's beating, my hands are trembling, my palms are sweaty. I can't imagine what it's like inside that race car right now.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit of a tingling sensation, particularly in my arms myself. I'm really quite excited to see how this will all happen. McKissick, Wilson, Duquette, Hancock, Montevice in the top 5. Oh man, this is going to be fun. This is going to be a finish for the ages, I would imagine. 2 laps to go, unless we get another caution. How will this happen? Who is going to win the 2017 I Got Ballz 250? The pace car is off. McKissick leads. Green flag flies. We're back underway. Let's decide this. McKissick with a really good restart. The 51, Nicholas Duquette, giving him a good push on the 54 of Montevice, giving good help on the low side there. The 58 of Wilson getting a really big shove from the 60 of Hancock, as well as the 3 of Wolford, who's made a really good recovery after being caught up in an earlier incident. But one of the front-running cars that got caught in an incident is back up in the fray. The top 6 getting a bit of an edge over everyone else at the moment. Oh, and Montevice makes contact with the 3.
That
could have been bad. That could have been bad for Montevice. He's lost a lot of momentum there. Can he get back up there before the end of this race? It's Wilson now who takes the lead.
Wilson!
They're all trying to sort themselves out.
They're wrecking in the back! Are we going to get the caution?
Wreck in the back.
Incident in the back of the field. Is there going to be another
We're
caution?
We're going all the way!
White flag is out. 1 more to go. Wilson and Hancock leading the way on the low line. Duquette trying to get the run on the top side there with Wolford giving him the shot.
They're wrecking in the back, but we're going. We are not stopping.
Back on the backstretch, they're still going for it. Duquette with the nose there, not quite.
24 knocks the 3 up.
Oh, pushes them up high. The 58 still has the nose. What can anyone do?
Here comes the 51.
Oh, more contact behind them. Wilson's
they're all
around
wrecking.
the wall.
The 24 is going to take it. No, it's going to be the 58.
Justin Wilson in the 58 is the winner of the I Got Ballz 250 in spectacular style. And a big crash behind them as they come to the finish. Wow!
Instant replay, here it is. The 58 getting a big push out of the 60. The 24, McKissick in the middle there. A little bit of contact. Everyone's all over the place, coming to the line, coming together. They're spinning, and McKissick is going to get hit right there before the line, and that's going to hand it over to that number 58 of Justin Wilson.
Say what you will about that incident, McKissick and Wilson, that sent McKissick into the wall, and McKissick could have won had that not happened, but man, what a finish. Justin M. Wilson in the 58 target car is the winner of the I Got Ballz 250 in 2017. What a race. Consistent performance and aggression when he needed it. Wilson is your winner.
I'm going to ask you guys a famous question. Have you ever?
And I'm going to respond with a famous answer. No, I've never. Wow. What a finish. These races never fail to impress.
There had to be at least 3 or 4 lead changes before we even got to that restart box. That was insane.
Wilson burning it down right in front of pit lane. A well-deserved burnout and a well-deserved win and a great performance for that number 58 car. I'm sure McKissick is going to be looking at that thinking, man, what could have been? But he still finishes second place after wrecking. Monsavice is third. Tanner Talrico takes advantage of the situation and finishes fourth. And Aaron Smith II rounds out your top 5 tonight in the I Got Ballz 250.
And we're going to kind of just let it replay one more time there in the background, that full last couple of laps, and then we'll get a ring in with our winner if we can. It appears as if his mic is disabled, but we'll try to get a ring in with our winner here, the number 58, Justin Wilson. Man, that was it was tough coming to that line right there. Take us through that final lap.
Well, I do, and sorry, I'm sick, so I'm excited, but no, that last lap was hard. I knew when we had the lead that it was just gonna be a matter of blocking whoever was behind me, and I seen them get tangled, and I seen the car on the outside get turned. I tried to move down because I knew I was gonna get hooked, and when I did, I was just sitting there trying to save it, and then the 24 got by, and I ended up hitting him, and I just somehow held on to it.
Yeah, that it was tough there, and taking a look from the booth up here, I mean, it didn't look intentional at all. You had that car swinging left and right, and you know, you can only do so much, unfortunately. That's big time sim racing, but damn, what a race.
Yeah, I mean, I was that was definitely, it was not intentional at all, by no means intentional. I was trying to save it, and then as soon as I had it straight is when we just brushed each other. And I do feel bad for taking him out. Like I said, it wasn't intentional, but that was a great race. We stayed up front the whole race, and it was perfect.
Well, just talk about, you know, what you had to do all race long to stay in the position that you were in.
Well, the biggest key was to be patient, and I mean, I preferred the outside line. It seemed more dominant, and I qualified up front and just stayed up front. Had good pit stops. I had to do a little bit of strategy because I fell back a little from being too patient, and I took 2 tires which pushed me back up to the front, and I was just able to hold off with those tires after everybody saying don't take 2 tires. I was like, I'm gonna be that one guy that does it, and I guess it paid off for us.
Well, congratulations, and before we get on to a couple other drivers here, who do you have to thank?
Well, I want to thank my team, Payday Racing, my spotter, Chris Hone. He was there with me the whole time, and Winstell Cup for letting me run with them. I mean, this is my first win with these guys, too, so I want to thank them as well.
All right, well, thanks for coming up here into the booth to talk to us here, and what a finish there. Onward down pit road we go.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
And I do believe Corey has caught up with Brandon McKissick.
Yeah, Brandon McKissick, you got us?
Gotcha.
Well, you came home second. We thought you were about to maybe win on your roof or maybe backwards or something like that. Just epic last lap. You led most of the race. You led a lot of laps. Just controlled that low side. Led a lot of restarts. Just talk about your night in general.
The first half of the race was pretty calm. I was riding in both grooves trying to save tires during the first run, and just slowly started moving my way up after running 20th throughout the first run, and broke my way up into the top 10 and found myself in the lead in the fourth quarter of the race, and thought I had it until the last restart where I got passed by like 3 or 4 cars, and we took the white flag and they started wrecking out of 4. I thought I had it again, and then Justin was sideways, just couldn't hang on to it and turned me like 500 feet before the line, so he won. It was crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a random turn of events at the end. You had a 5-car breakaway at the end. Tried to side draft some people. We saw you working your way up and just trying to get the best possible finish. Who do you have to thank for your race tonight?
I'd like to thank Brendan for putting all this stuff on this weekend. It was fun racing a lot of them. I'd like to thank Fastlane Motorsports and the guys over there, and that's it.
All right, that's Brandon McKissick. Will come home second tonight in the I Got Ballz 250.
And continuing on, I do believe Stephen Larkamp is caught up with Michael Finlayson, who had a very tough end of his race there. Did not get to finish with the rest of the field. Over to you.
Michael, Stephen up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
So, all in all, a very exciting race from start to finish. It's just a shame that you weren't up there with them, though you had some strong runnings and had a strong running going for you. Take us through take us through the racing with these guys from your perspective. How crazy was it?
Well, it was very crazy. I'm surprised you guys even knew I was racing. I thought I was 2 laps down the whole race, but yeah, I had a good start to it. I was just being patient at the beginning with all the craziness. It was fun getting those, like the first half of the race, we had some green flag runs, getting in almost green flag pit stops. We were getting near, but I was just being conservative on that first run too, and just trying to get places at the end of the races because I know it does get crazy, but it did get crazy, but I was a part of the craziness, and sort of got ARCA braked in some of the wrecks, but I guess it just happens on the next year. But it's always been fun to run these events, and I'll just continue running the Winstall Cup Series K&N league that he puts on. That's also a great league, so tough night, but we'll move on.
Alright, well, thanks for coming up here to talk to us, Finlayson, and I do believe we're catching up with Brennan McGee now.
Yes.
Alright, well, talk to us about that race as a whole, Brennan.
Definitely a very fun race. Started off fairly clean, had a couple incidents, a couple drivers that were removed. But after that it was very clean, and then we hit about lap 85, and boys, didn't it go downhill quick from what we saw the first 85 laps. But overall, very fun race, and I will say something about this finish, very reminiscent of last year, I think. If you guys remember that one, where the leaders are going side by side to turn 3 and 4. I know I do, because I ended up upside down, and the guy back in 16th ended up winning the race.
Yeah, that is very reminiscent. I remember it very well. But,
So
Brennan,
sorry, go ahead.
Looking forward to potential further events and, your weekly league, where do you go next?
Well, like I said, Winstall starts next Sunday, so definitely going back to that. Last season, actually, we only averaged about 2-3 yellows a race, so that was pretty good with 30 cars per race, so definitely very fun. And then I think sometime in March or early April, it'll be once again the throwback week, the Winston 250, but I'm going to be looking at adding in a couple extra races to go along with it that weekend, possibly the trucks and the Busch cars, or Xfinity cars, to try and spice up that weekend a little bit too.
Awesome. Well, talk a little bit about, who put this together, who puts on Winstall for you week in, week out, and final thoughts.
I host Winstall pretty much, so I've assembled everything. Luckily, I have a decent following as far as drivers go, so the league got off to a very good start. And now here we are, season 4, still pulling 30 cars a race. So, final thoughts. Definitely fun. It was fun to have you guys back finally, your first time back doing my races, and since the Pepsi 400 actually, so it was nice to see you guys return, and I'm sure it was just as fun in the booth, and hopefully you can do it again next time I have a big event.
Yeah, we definitely agree, but for you, thanks for coming up here, thanks for talking to us, and good job out there. I mean, I know it wasn't quite the finish you wanted, but overall it was a great race, and you got a little bit of everything.
That we sure did, so thank you very much, and hopefully see you guys again maybe in April or March if we can.
Yeah, we'll just have to see.
Have a good one.
Alright, well, Corey, Steven, what a race it was that we saw. I mean, record viewers, record entrants here tonight for the I Got Ballz 250. Every year this race attracts eyes from all over the iRacing community, but tonight especially. And it was a great race out there. We saw, like I said, everything. We had clean racing, we had some wrecks. Everything was, overall, it was pretty exciting, and I can't wait for next year.
Yeah, absolutely. If you put stock cars at Daytona, you will not get disappointed. Aggressive racing, fast racing, hectic finish, just tremendous racing, well put on. I love the fact that they had green, white checkers. That's a nice addition. Just overall, 10 out of 10 race. You couldn't really ask for more.
Yeah, that was probably better than advertised, in my humble opinion. You can never go wrong with stock car racing at Daytona. And when Brendan McGee puts on a show, he always puts on a great show. And it was no different tonight. This has to be, this was just, I'm still shaking, really. That was how exciting it is.
Well, I tell you what, I think that pretty much sums it up pretty well here for everybody. Thanks for tuning in, everyone that did, and we will definitely hope to see you next time. For everybody here at Checkered Flag Interactive, we'll see you next time.